Welcome to the Root Cause Revolution podcast with functional and integrative nurse nutritionist and energy medicine practitioner, Audrey Christie.
Hello and welcome to episode 218 of the Root Cause Revolution podcast. Today we're talking about vitamin D. And you might be wondering, what could be so cool about vitamin D, right? We're going to talk today about the freest of the free ways to regulate and balance your mood, to boost up and mediate your immune system, to protect against cancers, including skin cancers, to help regulate blood sugar, improve focus, concentration, memory, build strong bones, help regulate blood pressure. Have I convinced you yet? Welcome. If this is your first time listening, I am Audrey Christie. I'm a functional and integrative nurse nutritionist. I'm a naturopath. I am an energy medicine practitioner, and I help you heal. I help you rebalance your body to recover from all of those imbalances that cause nasty symptoms and diagnoses to build up, whether it's chronic illness, autoimmune disease, whatever it may be. I help you to rebalance and clear your body of that stuff for good. Now, you might be wondering, all of those benefits, immune system, cancer, concentration, memory, bones, blood pressure, what miracle drug am I talking about? Well, it's not a drug or even a supplement or even a food. It's good old vitamin D, which, by the way, is really a hormone. Before we dive too far into this is a really good time to let you know about my most popular and completely free downloadable guide. It has just a few simple steps to kickstarting your root cause revolution. You can download it at the show notes page at audreychristie.com/218. You will find all the links that we talk about and resources that we talk about today. All right, so let's talk about vitamin D. And like I said just a minute ago, vitamin D is kind of funny. Even though it is called a vitamin, it is and is categorized with other fat-soluble vitamins. It really isn't a vitamin at all. It is a hormone, right? It's a chemical messenger. And in fact, more than one chemical messenger gets lumped under the label of vitamin D. And it's primarily produced in your skin through exposure to sunlight. See what I mean? It is actually free. So vitamin D is really a rebel, right? It breaks the rules because it's not really a vitamin, and it's produced in the human body. It doesn't actually naturally occur in any foods except for some fish and egg yolks. And even when it is obtained from food, it still has to be converted by the body before it can do any good, before it is what we call bioavailable. It is the same principle that you aren't what you eat necessarily, but you are what your body can digest and put to use. And for vitamin D, it is no different. Again, vitamin D is the culmination of many things, many chemicals, if you will, in the body. And it is important that you know that it can't do its job, whether you get it from the sun or from a supplement, without your body doing its part too. What you see on your lab report will say 25-hydroxy vitamin D. And what this is the D3 from ultraviolet energy or the sun, or your D2 in supplement form. And once it's in the body, it goes to the liver. Big clue on why you want to keep your liver in good working order. In the liver, vitamin D picks up a few extra molecules, oxygen and hydrogen to be precise, and it becomes that 25-hydroxy vitamin D that you see on your lab report. From the liver, the vitamin D with its new buddies, oxygen and hydrogen, head over to the kidneys, where it picks up another pair of hydrogen and oxygen molecules, and it becomes what we call its active form. I like to think of it as it dons its cape and becomes a superhero, right? And so if you think about that, especially if you're suffering from something like lupus, you might understand how and where vitamin D plays a role in that particular autoimmune condition. So back in the day, you only heard about vitamin D to keep bones healthy, and it for sure does that. But now we know, and your conventional medicine doctor may even be up to date on some of this, that almost every tissue in the body has receptors for vitamin D. So we know now that it does so much more and so much more important things than just bone strength. Generally, when we find someone deficient in vitamin C, it's because it's an issue of not getting outdoors enough or living in a climate where sunlight just isn't available, or being a sunscreen addict. Throw the sunscreen away, friends. Internally, it can be caused by liver issues or kidney issues, or a combination of both of those things that kind of pull the brakes on the benefits of your sun or supplement vitamin D. It's estimated that about 75% to 85% of people in the US are deficient in vitamin D. And you would think, based on the marketing, that you were getting plenty of vitamin D from your milk and your cheeses and your cereals and your juices. But guess what? The vitamin Ds in those foods aren't bioavailable. Your human body cannot use them. So when you're deficient, it can show up in a lot of different ways. It can be one of the root causes of any number of mood and mental disorders. It's not really the root cause. I guess the reason for the deficiency would then be the root cause, and you could probably even dive further than that. But it can be a contributing factor to mood and mental disorders, kidney disease, diabetes, cancer, skin cancer, which is pretty ironic, right? Because you put on sunscreen to block the sun, which blocks the vitamin D, which causes the vitamin D to be deficient, which causes skin cancer, not even counting all of the chemicals in sunscreen. But that's a story for later this summer, I suppose. Other signs of vitamin D could be lacking in energy or fatigue, or if you your immune system's really in a rut and you catch every single cold, flu, or virus that's floating around. Sometimes we see vitamin D deficiency with difficulty sleeping, as well as lots of autoimmune dysfunction, okay? Many of my clients report that even eczema and psoriasis goes away in the summer, and one of the big reasons for that is vitamin D. So what happens when modern medicine catches up to natural medicine, and all the doctors know that the body has vitamin D receptors all over the place? It leads doctors to begin recommending products like vitamin D, which is amazing in a lot of ways, but often they don't get the full picture of the information because it's just not their specialty. Conventional medicine doctors are really, really good at acute things. When you have something that needs to be taken care of right away, like an infection or some life-threatening injury or illness. But in the long term, it doesn't always translate to what we're doing long term with our health. So sometimes doctors will say, "Hey, here, take this vitamin D3," but it can cause liver issues and cardiovascular issues if you start to load up on a ton of vitamin D supplements that aren't appropriate for your body. What I see most often is people not recommending D3 plus K2. And you really have to have K2 with your vitamin D supplementation in order to tell your body where to shuttle that vitamin D3. Tell the body where to shuttle the calcium that the vitamin D3 allows the body to retain. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention some of the, everyone's like, well, I'll just take a D3 supplement and I'll be fine. Absolutely, you can use a vitamin D3 supplement. And if your lab levels are low, and I do think that you should have those tested at least once a year, if not twice a year. But if your vitamin D levels are low, supplementing definitely helps. But you must know that there are some benefits to getting your body out into the sun that you just cannot replicate and put in a bottle, okay? The energy of the sun, sometimes called prana or chi, depending on what ancient medicine you're talking about, or Ayurvedic principle. Energy medicine plays a huge role. Chi, prana, sunlight plays a huge role in stress management and energy metabolism. It's literally the fire of getting stuff done, the powerhouse, and it brings an energy of motivation and confidence and purpose, right? So when you aren't in the sunlight, the natural sunlight, at least for 25 to 30 minutes a day, it can cause a lack of connection to all the cycles of nature. And all of them are important, but most notably where we can see the impact the most is in your circadian rhythm or your sleep-wake cycle, right? So think about, if you're taking a D3 supplement instead of getting out in the sun, or maybe you need to get out in the sun and take a D3 K2 supplement because you live somewhere where the sunlight is never going to be bright enough or strong enough, right? But Think about that and think about where you see purpose and confidence and motivation in yourself and the world around you. And that might be something that is deficient for you as well. So what I like to recommend is people to take a few minutes to walk out into the sun, gaze at your palm, and notice the lightness and the energy and the power, just like the sun. Okay. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, there are so many benefits and so many, simple things that you can do in order to take advantage of sunlight and to get and maintain your adequate levels of vitamin D. Most conventional labs will report a vitamin D level of around 32 or 32,000, depending on where you are in the world, is okay. And I know those sound like two numbers really far apart, but it depends on the units of measure that the lab is reported in, okay? From a functional perspective, really somewhere around 50 to 70 is the sweet spot. I personally like to see them at 60,000 or above. Now, once you get too much, it is possible to have too much vitamin D, and that causes almost bigger problems than not having enough, right? Sort of. It can cause liver damage, which is why if you're supplementing vitamin D, it's really, really critical to test before you determine your dosage and following up to determine if it's working and how much vitamin D you need. So when you reach your appropriate vitamin D levels and your body has the ability to utilize it, you will have major benefits like mood benefits from the serotonin increase. You'll have a much lower risk of cancer. You'll have way better sleep, improved bone health and muscle recovery. You'll have lower blood pressure. You'll have better regulated blood sugar. You can have improved clarity and focus and memory. Your skin will heal faster. Your immune system will balance and help, including things like autoimmunity, and you'll see a reduction in pain. And that's just scratching the surface, really. And energetically, if you get out in the sun, you'll have the benefit of that confidence and motivation and that empowered feeling. Sunshine is really such a beautiful healing tool. So as I mentioned, vitamin D is the freest of the free, right? All you have to do is get as much of your human suit as legally possible out in the sun for 15 to 30 minutes. If you have more melatonin in your skin, in other words, you're darker complected, it might take more than 30 minutes. If you're very light complected, you may need to work your way up to 30 minutes. The key here is that it should not be through glass like a window, and it's not through sunscreen. Both of those things block the beneficial UV rays. Now, if you can't get in the sun for some reason, perhaps you're suffering from lupus or another kidney disease, or you live kind of north of Philadelphia, if you drew a line starting in Philly, east to west around the globe, for example, or if you live in a particularly sun-free area of the world, then vitamin D3 plus K2 supplementation is going to be critical. You can find my favorite vitamin D3 plus K2 in my full script apothecary. And if you're a member of my free private Facebook group or a member of the paid Root Cause Revolution membership, then you get varying levels of discounts. Free private Facebook group saves a percentage off. I think it's 10%, might be 15%. And the Root Cause Revolution membership gets it for wholesale price, the same price that I do. So that is one way to do it. It just needs to have D3 plus K2. If you go to audreychristie.com/full script, you'll be able to find that very easily, just right there in the apothecary. Another really cool way to get vitamin D, like I said, you can get it in fish, you can get it in egg yolk, but one of the coolest things that I learned, a few years ago, is that mushrooms that are sun-dried have as much vitamin D in them as a supplement. Plus, you get all of the other really great adaptogenic qualities. It's like a superhero, superfood unicorn. They did a study at the University Medical Center in Freiburg, Germany, and found that using mushrooms that are sun-dried worked as well as using a supplement, and it worked the same whether you crushed it up and put it in a capsule or put it in your soup. I personally am all about getting the nutrients we need from our food. And when I work with clients one-on-one, I have two options. I can do exclusively nutrition, and it takes a whole lot longer, but the results are permanent forever, right? You make these small, sustainable changes. That's why something like the Root Cause Revolution membership is so powerful. You make these small, sustainable changes, and they last forever, right? Rather than like jumping in and like ripping off the Band-Aid and, throwing out all the junk food you've ever had and being so super strict, right? Those kind of things don't work. Nutrition is key. It will fix everything. Now, we can speed it up with supplements, and sometimes that might be necessary to kind of get ahead of the game. But if you can just set yourself forward with nutrition, I've said it a million times, God, nature, universe, whatever label you put on it, everything we need is put into a property of food, natural food that we can find on the earth. So I'll get off my soapbox, but if you are headed into fall and winter right now, or if you're on my side of the earth and you're heading into spring and summer, then you can get your vitamin D level checked and consider supplementing with vitamin D, or start getting your 25 to 30 minutes of unmitigated sunshine every single day. So how's that for free, right? Just get sunshine and you're good to reap all the benefits to balance your mood, to boost and mediate your immune system, to protect against all the cancers, including skin cancer, blood sugar, blood pressure, concentration, memory, building strong bones. So easy and so sustainable, simple and sustainable. Get out there and get to it, friends. All right. As always, I am rooting for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. Be well.
Thank you for listening to the Root Cause Revolution podcast. Be sure and subscribe on your favorite podcast provider. Ratings and reviews are always appreciated.